Now I would like to invite Dr. François Tardieu, and he will be introducing the conference topic. So François, please. Please join me in welcoming François.
Work okay? No. Hello? Yeah. Is it okay? Yeah. So, welcome to InterDrought. It's amazing. So, InterDrought is a society. We began relatively small, and now we are 940 something people. I just invite you during breaks to come here and imagine the whole room full of people interested in our topics. So this is amazing, and thank you for coming. It's important that there are 700 people from developing countries. Is it okay? Okay. And it's certainly important that we are in India. India is one of the biggest countries in the world and trapped by drought. So let's begin the InterDrought conference with this amazement of having so many people and so many good delegates. I won't spend too much time stating that climate change and high temperature and evaporative demand have never been as crucial as today. Whoever has read the last IPCC report 2 years ago can be really frightened of the risk of drought, the risk of high temperature. There has been the COP21 conference that says that perhaps this RPC 2.6 scenario will be hopefully the good one, but there is still the good possibility that we run in real troubles. So we know that. Okay, so yeah, this is better. We know that. We know also that this question is debated, but we are here for science. But we know that as a community, we have to convey some political messages. I will go back to that at the end of this presentation. We also all know, and it's probably not useful to spend much time, that this climate change is in conflict with an increasing demand for food security, for green chemistry, for fibers, etc. So agriculture is in front of a big, big challenge. So it's probably time for this conference, 5th InterDrought conference. Again, it's science-focused. We are here to discuss of science, but we know that as citizens, there are plenty of issues that our science involves for our future and the future of our children. So, InterDrought has begun actually in Montpellier, but it was a European project, a very small conference in Montpellier in 1995. And we owe to two eminent people, eminent personalities, actually 10 years afterwards, to say, well, we absolutely need to have somewhere in which the general community for drought can meet and discuss. So these two personalities are first Abraham Bloom. Abraham could not come here. He is unfortunately ill. We all hope that he will be better. And the second is here, well and alive. He is Roberto Tuberosa. So I think that for these two people who really gave birth to InterDrought, please join me to thank them and say that. Because really we owe them this conference, series of conference. So the first conference was in Rome, And then there has been one in Shanghai, and Abraham was still the chair of the conference. Then in Perth in 2003. And here we are in Hyderabad, and again with this huge success. So this huge success is largely due to Rajiv. So we have shared with Rajiv the responsibility for this conference. So Rajiv has done the scientific work with me. And on top of that, a lot of work. So can you again thank Rajiv? Because for those who don't know, Rajiv is not only an Anu, also, is Anu right? Yeah. Anu is also a very bright scientist. So for those of you who think that, yeah, but all of those are scientists, and Rajiv is not only here to solve problem of visas and hotels. Rajiv is an eminent scientist. And the next conference will be in the United States. I will tell something about that at the end of this presentation. Right, so InterDrought has a special DNA from the very beginning. And I will take some quotes of things that have been said in different InterDrought conferences. So first, and this was actually in the very first InterDrought conference, John Pasura. Probably many of us know John. He is from Australia in Canberra. Said that the cactus is more drought tolerant than the carnation. But once we have said that, when we look at crop plants, the features that confer drought tolerance are far from clear. And we all know that. Another great contributor to InterDrought is Graham Hammer, who said about 10 years ago, we anticipate that the availability of models, knowing that we don't know exactly what drought is, what drought tolerance is, models are capable of navigating biological complexity. And this will change everything. And you will see a lot of modeling here in InterDrought. And if I can join this list with a nasty comment, I wrote some years ago that actually any trait, any allele, if you are bright enough, you can just think in a drought scenario in which this allele will bring drought tolerance. So is it good to have good big leaves? Yes, in some drought, not in some other leaves. Is it good to close stomata? Is it good to have small roots, big roots? It depends. And probably in the DNA of InterDrought, this "it depends" is absolutely crucial. Drought-tolerant alleles are context-dependent. And this is a statement, but this is also the organization of the conference. Of course, all of us, we are specialists of something. I'm an agronomist, ecophysiology, there are genomicists, there are everything. But if we want to study drought tolerance, whatever it is, we need to have at least some understanding of many things. Of course, we will not be specialists of everything, but we need to know what are the physical constraints associated with drought. We need to know what are the scenarios of drought in current and future conditions. We know that tolerance to drought probably doesn't mean much, and tolerance to scenarios of drought means something more precise. We need to have some idea of the main controls at plant level, some mechanism, timescale, level of organization, emergent properties, etc. We need to know something about that. Genetic architecture of all these traits, QTL, genomic prediction, epigenetics, interactome, blah, blah, blah. And last but not least, cropping system. We know that our beloved genotypes will be in cropping system. So whenever we have a new genotype, we have to adapt all the cropping system, the techniques. And this is exactly the reason why I go from introduction to material and methods, of course. So the material of methods of InterDrought is that we have one session for all topics. So it is quite an unusual format for conferences. Usually you meet your mates, you have 100 people in the room, everybody knows each other, and we can talk seriously. Here the format is different. The model is that each of us, we have different disciplines, we come from different places, we have different ideas, and we will hear all topics regardless of our own discipline. So this is very important. This makes life a little bit more complex. I will go back to that. But we thought it is important that each of us hears everything. Just because I said drought tolerance involves a lot of things, so at least once every 4th year, we hear everything, and then we'll go back to specialized seminars. So we'll have long talks, 25 minutes, and we have asked all speakers to spend about 8 minutes setting the scene, so each of us, even if we know nothing on ABS signaling or trapping system or whatever, we have the broad picture, and hopefully this will be the case. We have selected short talks of 8 minutes on specialist topics of main interest. So here they will go straight to a point and we'll hear a lot of things. Very importantly, there are long poster sessions for presentations. So we can here discuss between us, because discussing with 900 people is not the easiest thing to do. But here we'll have this possibility. And we have facilitated discussion at the end of each session. To be honest, this will be an experience per se. So the sessions, again, setting the biophysical context. This is essential. Drought is physical by nature, and we need all to have some understanding of that. Maximizing dryland production, where are we going from a phenotyping point of view, from a breeding point of view, from G by E by management point of view. And then we have a series of sessions, plant productivity and the drought. So one about effective capture of water, everything that is roots, aquaporins, etc. Transpiration efficiency, in different contexts, genetic variability, hormones, plant productivity with vegetative growth. So what are the physiological control of growth of root and shoots? Reproductive development. Reproductive development receives slightly less interest than many other traits, although it's essential. So we'll have a session on that. And finally, breeding for water-limited environment, so we change scale. So we go to breeding, and we have asked eminent scientists to tell success stories in different environments. And I guess this will be extremely important. And then again, agronomic management. We have to adapt the agronomy to our genotypes, the genotypes to our agronomy, and this is the definition of cropping system. And last but not least, we'll have a closing session in which we try to share what was important. So normally, the normal thing is to have all crocodiles like myself saying this was the most important thing in this conference. So sorry, I will do that anyway. But we have also asked young scientists, a panel of young scientists, to give some ideas. So the take-home messages. Discussion, results. So probably we don't want to reach consensus. We are from different disciplines, so probably some things become more and more consensus, and it will be welcome if this happens. And for the rest of it, it might be debate rather than consensus than we want. So we are from different disciplines. It's just normal that we don't agree, and conferences are just for exchanging, and we don't expect that everybody agrees at any time. So we have one aim, drought tolerance, again, whatever it means, and many avenues for that. and we are here to fight each other, saying this approach is better than this approach, etc. And I'm sure that this will happen because this is just healthy, and this has to happen, and I'm sure it will happen. So the result, we hope, is that interactions between us will allow us to go back home with new and broadened ideas. Left alone, some degree of consensus that we can bring to the politicians. But perhaps it's not the only thing. Discussion. Discussion, we have a problem here. Discussion, as I said, it's probably one of the main aims of such a conference. But having a discussion with 940 people is not the easiest thing to do. So this will be an experiment, per se, and hopefully it works. So we have facilitated discussion at the end of each session, so we'll see how it turns out. Again, these long poster sessions are the occasion of interaction, and they are long on purpose, so we have time for that. We have seminars. We have had seminars today, and Thursday there is another series of seminars. We have left free time, so Indian beer is excellent, so we can have a lot of chats in front of the very good Indian beer that I could try yesterday. And again, closing session, we have this forum with the young scientists and then concluding views. Not the point to say this was the important thing in this conference, but again, we have several views and go home with some ideas. Special announcement, InterDrought is a society, so the society needs to live. So for those who are interested in the life of this society, we'll have an InterDrought General Assembly on Saturday at 11:45. So you can, if you come, you can know how things are decided, and who will be the next chair and the next place for the conference. But I cannot say that now because I have to keep the secret. Conclusion. And if you allow me, I will do this conclusion from a very personal point of view. I must admit that 5 years ago, I would never have imagined that it's relevant to state that we are lucky to be all together here, 55 countries, 300 organizations, no petty egoisms. We all know that this was given for granted, for me and probably for all of us. We know that there are political pressures now for, even in my own country, it's not especially for one country, but we know that petty egoisms exist. I just hope that this type of conference, in which we can exchange science without any political consequences, but not political constraints. I hope that we can continue to have them. And I just want to have a special thought for some delegates who were to talk here or just participate here, and they just had to withdraw because they were afraid of not being able to come back home. So if you want, I would like to have a special thought for them. And more personal, but perhaps a consensus. I think that none of us really believe that science is here, that the word is here, and that science alone can solve everything, drought mitigation, etc. So we know that there are constraints. That's part of the game. There are economics, there are farmers, there are politics. That's fine. But I think we also all think that if we don't have a proper science, and or if scientific facts are ignored, the system will fail. So no, we don't think that science is everything, but yes, we can claim all together that science is necessary, that has to be good science, and has to be taken into account. And with that, I just hope that this conference will be a success for each of you.
This was wonderful, Francois. Thanks a lot for introducing the topic and also giving or showing very nice slides. So thanks once again, Francois, for all your help. He has been great help in managing the program, organizing those, defining the program and to all the different places. So thanks once again.